Welcome back, everyone, for another installment of Real Talk with Dominic Santana. And you see this handsome fella, Jamie Henson, what I mean, producer extraordinaire.
Well, I only show up on the show when the guest can't quite make it on time, or we can get like half shows, or if somebody just doesn't show up. I'm kind of the fill-in guy.
Yeah. So, but he's a very interesting guy. He's trying to act like he's not that interesting, but he is a very interesting guy, and he's the other half of the power behind this show. And so we have a lot of great conversations.
We do.
And everyone thinks you're weird, but I don't think you're weird.
It's true, I am.
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I'm joking. Everyone does not think he's weird, but definitely eccentric. Like I see you being like one of those people. Like if you got, $500 million, probably some like really eccentric
then I'd be
shit
eccentric.
going on.
Yeah, I don't have the money to be eccentric yet.
Is that what it is? You
Yeah,
gotta
it
have
is.
the money to be
Yeah.
eccentric.
Yeah.
So eccentric is just like being weird
And
but-
wealthy.
and rich.
Yeah,
I want
like
be,
Batman.
I want to be eccentric. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
eccentric is so much like
and it lasts longer. It's like
Right.
it's like being infamous instead of famous.
right.
Yeah.
But we have a special guest coming in today. So we got a treat for you. We've got Justin Linville coming in from one of the stars of the hit show Welcome to Flatch on Fox. So he'll be joining us shortly. He's got a very busy schedule, so we want to get him in, and then we got to get him out. So he's got to go on to another thing he's got to be at. So, but before we get to that, he is a young actor. I love talking to different ranges of people in entertainment, so you get a different perspective.
Yeah.
Of where people are and things that have changed and are the same. Because when I started out in the business, so much is different now. Like, prime example, I think when I started out there, the closest thing we had to social media was MySpace and Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah. And so it wasn't really a thing. Like, there was no blowing up on MySpace.
Yeah.
You damn sure weren't blowing up off of Facebook. You know what I mean? And now a lot of these younger actors can make skits and put stuff on Instagram.
Well, remember, we're literally walking with a production company in our pocket.
Yeah.
You give us an iPhone, you give us an Android device, we have a 4K camera now. We have an editing suite.
Mm-hmm.
We have things we can pull off YouTube and make clips. You have your distribution right there.
Yeah.
You've got
Yeah, I never thought about it
Yeah.
like that. Yeah. That's pretty
It's a
much
studio
what
in
it
a
is.
pocket for $800.
Yeah. And you can film something, edit it right there on your phone, and then literally shoot it out to you.
And it holds up because now they're doing ProRes on the Apples.
Yeah. So like you shoot it over to YouTube like same day.
Yeah.
You can distribute yourself same day.
Or go live, do live content.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy the amount of stuff. See, that drives me nuts. Like when I hear people like, I don't want to sound negative.
Yeah.
I hate when people come up to me and they're like, "What can I do?" And it's like, "What do you mean?" Anything you want to start, anything you believe in, you start somewhere. You know how I got started? I started going to just stuff, in Wilmington, North Carolina. I found out they had a film community and film studio, and movies and television shows were getting filmed. And I wasn't a part of them. And I wanted to be. And so it was like, well, why go all the way to L.A. right out the gate when I can just, start doing work around Wilmington? Mm-hmm. And then at that point in time, Google was around, of course, but it wasn't like the go-to thing for all information at the time. And so it was like, okay, where do you start? What's the first steps? And I didn't know any of that. So I was like, okay, I need to first figure out how do I get around film and film people in whatever capacity that was. So I went and did the Screen Gems tour. I don't know if they still do those, but I went and did the Screen Gems tour, walked around, looked at a lot of bullshit. But I met people. I met my first agent there. Yeah. I remember my mother, she was very helpful as well because she's a very good researcher. So she was like, well, she always believed in what I wanted to do. And so she was like, well, I'll research and figure out something. She's like, we're going to go to a film symposium. And I never forget, I remember asking her, what the hell is a film symposium? And she was like, I don't know. Well, but it has something to do with film, so we're going to go.
Let me ask you this. Okay. Did you grow up wealthy or did you grow up working, having to hustle?
No, I definitely grew up having to hustle. Like, we didn't have money.
Okay. So I grew up in low-income housing, right? And it's North Dakota's version of it.
God, I forget you're from North
Yeah,
Dakota. Like, why?
there's like 3 of us in a couple sheet. But what happens is people who start off with less also have more realistic expectations for a beginning entry point to a position. So some people don't want to start a project unless they can be on that Hollywood level right away, but you haven't built up your catalog to earn that. I'm completely cool with like I started the studio with 1 month's worth of rent in the bag, 1 camera, and a couple of green screen backdrops. That's all I had. But to me, that was an acceptable starting point to build. Not everybody's content going into doing a Screen Gems, going in as a background, going in as an extra, and working your way up through the process, because they think this other spot is where they need to be. That's their starting point. And that's why they don't start, because they can't jump into that. But people who are willing to grind and hustle and build a repertoire, they're going to be unstoppable.
Yeah, it's just like because I was thinking of microwave generation, like
It's true.
like to say, and I don't like to put all of the generation under that microwave category, but it is a lot of between technology, social media, and things like this. So many things are so instant. Like we were just talking about, you can take a picture and post it seconds later to the world.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. That doesn't mean the world will see it, but if it goes viral or something, everyone can see it right then.
Yeah.
Back in the day, you had to go through some steps. You had to scan your picture into the scanner and then get it on the computer, and if you wanted it online. And now, but you can. Everything is so instant. And so you have a lot of people that have that mindset. That where it's like, well, I get so tired of hearing people that they want to be famous.
Sure.
And it's like, it's a disrespect to what we do and people like us who go through that journey, because it's like there's so much that goes along with it. Wavy is a great example of not the microwave generation.
No, he's the most humble person.
But no, I mean, as far as when he got started, the first project we worked on together was Unsolved, which was his very first project. Here I come 15 years in, with stuff under my belt and experiences, a journey. He's beginning his journey at the top of the mountain.
But that's so dope too. I mean,
no, it is.
But his mindset, what had that struggle mindset, but he just happened to land that once in a million type, the setup.
The odds are not in people's favors.
But if you land that from the jump, dude, rock it.
Yeah. Well, no. So what I'm saying about that is that's a shit. I wish mine would have started that way. It would have saved me a whole lot of time. But where he started, so he was, at the top first, and it was like there's a learning curve that comes that if you don't have that before you get there, oh my God, it can be such a confusing, wonderful but confusing time and place. Fortunately, we became friends, and so I became like an encyclopedia, a film encyclopedia for him when he wanted to ask me any questions and stuff like that. And then after Unsolved, you see, he was the belle of the ball at Unsolved. So he was insulated. So after Unsolved is out and, begins to fade over time, now you got to get in your grind. And see, so what he had to learn was, oh, okay, I've got to grind now. And so then he got to start experiencing that part of the journey. Yeah. And so it was just really interesting seeing, because I had never been in that position myself. Even though I've been in the business this long, I hadn't known somebody that I saw literally go from landing a gig in a cattle call to in a huge major gig to, then go from that to having to learn to grind.
Well, just look at, so this could definitely be a human resource thing I'm about to say. He just started off dating the prom queen. He just started off with a higher standard off the jump.
Yeah.
I mean, I had to work up to that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because I talked to him about some of my journey in the beginning, and he just like, what? You had to do that? Yeah. Like, yeah, man. You got to go and, sit in offices and, the Fin Cannons. I mean, they could tell you the Fin Cannons are a major casting company based out of Wilmington originally. And once I got in, all someone had to do was tell me once is like, the key with casting directors is you want to be memorable. So they'll always reach out, to all the agents to look for the people they need, but they have a Rolodex. And those are the people they think about and call first. Doesn't mean you'll get it, but you're going to get the first calls. what you want to do is get into that mental Rolodex. So I was like, oh, say less. And so then when I finally got started going on auditions, especially locally, they were, one of the main first ones to really audition me as far as mainstream casting directors go. And so, and they really liked my talent. And so they really took to me, even though I was only getting like half the jobs, So even though we became friends and we became cool, they're very professional at what, they do. They don't conflate them liking you to sliding you jobs if they don't believe in it.
But what you just said was very important. You said you got half the jobs that they were basically you're going for.
Yeah.
That hit rate is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not a normal hit rate either. You know that, right?
Yeah. I was going on a run at that time.
Do you know how many people I shoot that want to even get one, let alone a 50% shot?
Yeah, I could imagine, man.
Yeah.
I went through this phase. I was the man. Like, I went through this phase where I was doing like 80, 90%. Like, literally, I was just like, I got so confident at one point that I walked in. I was a bit of an asshole back then, but I don't remember the guys, but I'm sure if they ever see this, they can post up online like, he ain't lying. But I was hitting everyone so well that so nonstop that I would come into the casting and I'd look around and be like, I don't know why y'all asses here. You're not getting this job now that I'm here, and they would look and be like, God damn, because they knew if I was there, more than likely I'm coming out with that job.
Yeah.
But that was the lower levels. See, I was a big fish in a small pond, but I didn't know it.
Yep.
The Fincannons knew it because they would tell me, Lisa Mae Fincannon, that's why I always had love and respect for her. She fought for me on some jobs, you know what I mean? And Craig Fincannon. Craig is funny because Craig is the more by the book kind of one. Very nice, very cool guy. But when it comes to, like, prime example, I did this movie called Bolden.
Okay.
And this is at the time, like, once I started getting cool with them, I would go and just hang out at
Now,
the
which
office.
Version of Bolden? Because that's like the movie that
The
never
first,
ended.
the first iteration of Bolden. Not the eighth, the first one.
I'm with you. Just
So I was in the first run I'm not in the movie at all now.
Yeah.
But I remember, I never forget it. Like yesterday, he said to me, I was in the office hanging out. Because, see, I did the smart thing. Because I also did extra work still at the time. And so I got real cool with their guy who was handling the extras. So then I could come there and just hang with him. And then they'd be there too, but, it wasn't them like me having to, hey, can I come hang at your office? Because they would have said, hell no.
Yeah.
But I got cool with him. And so I would go, shout out to Tony, wherever you are. And I would go hang out at their office, and then I would be able to interact with them. And then I got to know another guy, this crazy Italian fucker. I love him, though. God, Mo. I almost said Joe.
Okay.
Mo, if you're out there, what's up? Mo was really tight with them. I don't even know their background, but Mo worked in the office, but he'd known them like personally outside of that for years. And so that kind of also bridged the gap, with them. So networking, that's why I learned to network, strongly. And, but back to Bolden, Craig, he called me in his office one day while I was in there. He was like, Dominic, he's like, there's a big movie coming and I've got a role for you in mind. And I was like, oh, great. If the casting director is telling you I've got a role for you in mind, he's like, this is your role. And I was like, yes, finally, I just get a job, And he was like, but you're just going to have to read for it. I was like, shit. So,
You don't like reading for the parts?
No, I hate it.
Really?
I hate it.
I thought you would love it.
No, God, no. I'm
Your competitive nature, like going in there and see everybody else lined up and be like,
okay.
No,
so that I do. I like in-person auditions.
Yeah.
Because it works exactly like that for me. I walk in and I see the other guys and I'm like, oh hell no, none of you are getting this job. You know what I mean? But now it's not like that.
Yeah.
Especially after COVID, we're mostly self-taping all the time.
Oh,
So it's just you.
Yeah, I get it.
With your camera,
Yeah.
and I hate that portion because I can pretend, of course, right? If I'm doing green screen work, something like that, I can pretend and all that. But I'm in costume. Even with green screen, I'm at least in costume or something. But not being, I thrive better when I'm in the environment.
Yeah.
Because
You
then,
feed off the energy.
yeah, like I sink into the environment and become the character.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then I can deliver an awesome performance.
Yeah. I'm a way better wedding photographer when their uncle has a camera.
When their uncle has a camera?
Yeah, if I'm at a wedding and I see a random uncle pull out with a decent looking camera.
Oh, you want to outdo his
Oh,
videos?
damn right I'm going to.
Gotcha.
I started doing all
that.
the weird shit.
I can feel that, and there is something to say about that. The competitive nature it brings out of you, because like All Eyes on Me, I told that story a million times. Where the fourth audition, when they switched directors and had Benny Boom come in, apparently Benny came to the project with someone else already in mind, and I had already read for them like 3 times, 2 in person. I was like, dude, and opening a car lot at the same time. It was like our opening day coming. They're like, you got to come back to Atlanta. I'm like, what? Why? Like, I've already been there, and I told you guys before, like literally we have a grand opening of a business that we've been working months to build. And the woman from the casting office called me, and she was like, normally don't do this, which she's right. This normally doesn't happen, but she's like, normally you're not supposed to do this, but I just want to let you know there is somebody else in mind. Because at that point, I was like, who else are they going to cast? Like, I've been smashed this thing like 3 times, and in person and on tape. And, you know, and the look, the whole, like, really, who else are they going to cast? And so I was like, I don't need to come back down there a 4th time. You've got me on video. Watch the damn videos. And, like, let's be honest, who else are you going to get that's a real actor in my size and look? Yeah. And she was like, yeah, they got somebody. Benny had somebody else in mind. So you're still, like, it's still leaning more toward you, but there is this other person.
Yeah.
You need to get here and, you know, seal your job. And I was like, shit. So once she said there's, because I was flat out, no, I'm not coming. Tell them I'm sorry. You got me 3 times on tape. I'm not coming. When she said there's somebody else in mind, I was like, oh, no. Nobody's taking my job.
Did you ever study martial arts?
Yeah.
Okay. On your dojo, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you have a little plaque on the front of the door that says leave your ego at the door?
No.
I
I didn't have a dojo. I got into this after school program.
I got you.
That was at our school.
So I used to go to this little one, and it was at the college, and it was on the top floor, and there was a dance studio. And they had just a small little placard because that's all they really could afford, North Dakota. But I'll never forget that. Every time I walked in, I always saw that one thing. Like, I always checked that shit.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just me.
You what? You left your ego at the door?
Leave your ego at the door. Like, if I'm talking to somebody and I'm in contention for something, and if I've got to go 3 or 4 times, because I usually, I'll tell with my clients, it's just where I'm at with my life. It's, again, I'm at a different spot than you are. Like, you know, you've already an established actor. You already had all this stuff going, and you're like, man, you've already seen me. You know what I do. Yeah. Just hire me. I'm from the time like, yeah, you know I can shoot. You know I can do this. I can do that. But maybe you just need that other connection. And so for me, I'm more of an open door process into that because I just check myself. Because I always know there's somebody better. It's like the iPhones. The iPhones keep on getting better and better. I know I'm going to be out of a job in 5 years. That's why I got into video.
No, but you're 1000% right, because even being established, like I got ego checked. But it's such a weird business because on the one side, so when we make a movie, I'll take All Eyes on Me, for example. When we make a movie, you know, it could be a year and a half before the movie, especially how big the movie is, it can take longer, you know. And so it takes like a year and a half. The industry knows that. The industry knows you shot this shit a year and a half ago. So that's not where you currently are in your career. It's just now it's coming out. And so the industry will treat you like, okay, but what have you done since a year and a half ago?
Yeah.
You know, well, you know, and I remember I was sitting there, these guys, it was a really weird meeting. And we've talked about this before too, where they had me come in, my movie's in theaters. I'm buzzing all over the place, right? And they had me come in for a show they were doing, and they invited me. It's not like I asked to come meet or anything. They invited me, and we sit down, and it was a couple of guys, but there was this one like really just contentious guy. You know what I mean? He was annoying, and he was just like, you know, just stone faced the whole time, looking at me like I'm wasting his time, and I'm just looking. And we're talking about the show, et cetera. And so I'm waiting to just get a direct offer. And, you know, I'm like, okay, cool. I'm going to have a show set up next. And so he's like, so tell us, you know, what have you done lately? And I'm like, is this guy serious? Like, I'm in worldwide theaters right now as we speak. And he's like, no, I know that's out, but that's dépassé. Like, I'm like, dude, how's it passé It's literally in theaters as we're talking. And what he was saying was, when you filmed it,
Yep.
he was like, "What have you done since then?"
Yeah.
And at that time, I hadn't done anything.
Yeah.
You know, I think I did a little small project, but that's about it. I hadn't done anything major since before it came out. And I'm sitting there, and he's like, "So you've done nothing? Like, you don't have anything coming up, coming out?" And I was like, "Not right now, no." And it was just kind of like, I turned to my manager and I was like, "What's going on right now? Like, what are we doing?" Because I was getting frustrated, you know, just like, why am I here, dog? Like, this dude's, did he bring me here just to be an asshole? You know what I mean? Like, why are we here? I thought I was coming here to get a job offer. And needless to say, I didn't get the job offer. And it was just really weird because it was like, why am I here? Like, I'm being here, I've been brought here to just be insulted, or like, what the fuck?
May not have been.
And well, I'm sure, you know, well, honestly, I can't speak for him. I don't know what the hell he was doing, but I went ahead and ended that meeting, you know, the more and more it got away from, are you giving me the job or not? Or what about the job? We're talking about me and what I got going on, and just being made smaller and smaller and smaller, like what I had done wasn't shit. And meanwhile, you go out the doors and be like, oh my God, it's you. And it's like, this is such a weird ass space.
What if it was a price negotiation tactic?
They use that. They use that, but also there's a respect element. You know when they respect you and when they don't. In that meeting, I knew there was no respect.
Then F him.
And so so for me, it's like, when I know there's no respect, there's probably no job coming either. It's more than likely you could chalk it up to, you know what I mean? Because if they are going to offer you a job, regardless of the tactics to negotiate, they come with a reverence, because they're like, we're going to have to work with this dude for like, 5-6 months. We don't want to piss him off right out the gate, you know, but if they're not hiring you, they don't give two shits. You know what I mean? They treat you however. And it was almost like we just wanted to meet you to tell you you're not as great as you think you are.
So
like, I'm sure that's not what it was,
Yeah.
but that's what it felt like.
But that's the early years, right? Like these are things that you could run into your first 2-3 years in the industry. You know, you got to cut your teeth.
Yeah. Well, it's just, there are these things that you just, and it was to your point about, I learned in that moment, because I got to where it's like, there's certain things I won't do now. I'm big shit, I'm worldwide, I'm international Dom, baby. And, I'm not going to do the smaller things, or I'm not going to engage with these people or those people. And it really forced me to really look at the reality of the business. I had to get the hype out of my mind.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You work so hard to get to a certain position, and then the hype comes. And you're like, yeah, finally, because I get tired of feeling like I was at the bottom of shit. And so then when you feel like you're standing on the very top of the mountain, it's like the first night, All Eyes on Me came out, and we were going up against all the tentpole films. The Mummy, Cars 3, major franchises. Wonder Woman's breaking records right at that time. And we took them all for a moment.
Yeah.
For a moment, Thursday night. Granted, it was late, whatever, I don't care. But we beat out Tom Cruise's Mummy.
Yeah.
We beat Cars. We overtook Wonder Woman for the weekend, not overall.
Yeah.
But for that weekend, we took the lead. And I remember the feeling of like looking at, and because our movie was the little small movie. It wasn't small, but in where we got released, we should have been releasing like August when that era, because you stay out of the big blockbuster. We got released right in the middle of the blockbuster giants. And it was just like, man. And so when we took that lead, just for a night, we took that lead, and it was like, whoa. Like, you don't know. That's the crazy thing, is you don't, like, how should I feel or act? Like, am I as big as I feel right now, or is it smoke and mirrors, or am I bullshitting myself?
So I'll put it this way, from my point of view, right? I go into a lot of other people's businesses to help them out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's church, whether it's for shooting documentaries, whatever it's going to be, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you have the bigwig that comes in the room, right? You see all the people catering to the bigwig. And I just sit down like, who was up? And they're like, well, why are you talking to him like that? It's like, because he's another human to me.
Yeah.
He's not, the title that you guys gave him has nothing to do with my relationship with him.
Right.
I am here to do a job. I'm here to do this, but I need to interact with you on that level so I can pull the best, what I need to pull to give you what you hired me to do based off what you've seen my else. This is my process.
Yeah.
So I always just look at it like that. It's just because you give somebody a title, you give us this, that title is not transferable to a new situation.
Right. No, you're 100% correct. And what it caused me to do was really take a step back. And I got lost in the hype for like a second.
But how could you
And
not,
it
though?
felt right. Like I'd
get
never
it.
been there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I've
So-
never been there, so it's easy for me to say this shit.
right. Like when you've never been there and you think like, you know, I've explained this in my story as well. Like I had all faith in myself and belief in myself, but it wasn't until I got that job until like it was something I didn't even know existed in the back of my mind. There was like this release of like, okay, I was telling you we were going to make it, but we were in the back here, like not really sure. And so it was just like, holy shit, I really did it. So then it's just this whole thing that you'd never been in. And so the hype just overtakes you. And being in the Tupac story, there were so many celebrities who were fanned out and involved along this way while we were filming.
Yeah.
I've been on many film sets. I've never been on a film set where you had, I mean, major celebrities just dropping by because they wanted to witness it and see us and asking us, can I get a picture with you? And then the premiere. I mean, it was like if somebody would have bombed that premiere, a third of Hollywood stars would have been out of here. You know what I mean? It shut down half the industry because it was that many old school and new school celebrities and entertainers. So you go into this thing and there you're seeing people that you know from television and movies and people you think are bigger than you. And they're like, can I get a picture with you? You're there with the Golden State Warriors who just won their championship 3 days prior. You're there with Lakers. You're there with Snoop. You're there with, you know, Madonna. I mean, you name it. You know, it was like, and of all cultures and backgrounds and all facets of entertainment and sports. And they're all, you know, I tell you my infamous story where I made Russell Simmons wait for a picture.
I remember.
You know, and it wasn't to be an asshole. It kind of was, but, you know, it was in return.
Yeah.
But I didn't think he would actually stand there. I thought he was going to walk off. So I thought, you know, I'll avoid it this way. And then turn, he's still standing there. And I was like, that's the moment. And I use that story a lot because that was the moment I was like, oh, this is serious. Like Russell Simmons, who knows? He's known celebrities. He is one. And then he's known, so he's made celebrities.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so for him to stand there with my publicist and wait that long for his picture and still be nice about it when I got over there, I was like, oh, this is serious. And so, you know, in my head it's swirling. I'm like, oh, you know, y'all got fans.
Yeah.
I got celebrity fans. Like, big difference, you know.
Well, think of it this way, right? You're the quarterback. I'm just a sideline quarterback. Everybody else, we can give you an idea what we think that position is and how you should act in that position. But we've never been on the field. We've never thrown the ball. We've never been given, hey, make this happen. We've got to win.
Yeah.
We just think we know what the fuck we're talking about. Let's be honest about
Look,
it.
I thought I knew what the fuck I was talking about until, you know, I got in it. And then it was like so many, I tell people all the time now, like, don't get caught in, it's like getting high. Like that feeling is not real. Like the hype is the bullshit. The reality is what you deal with when you go to get your next job.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And because you can get lost in it. I got lost in it for a little bit. And then once I started having, because, you know, like I've told others, it's like I didn't use my newfound fame to go chase ass. I used it to chase meetings and expand my network for my production company and the ideas I wanted to get out of my head. And meeting with those people, I came to the understanding. It was like, at first I was like, this is bullshit. Like, why do they treat me like, I haven't done nothing special? But I go out, come with me, walk down the street and you'll see. But then I had to think about it, back to checking your ego. I had to remember, it's like, well, these people deal with celebrities every day for a living. They create projects that create celebrities. You know what I mean? So to them, this isn't this is just like you just going to work. Not you, but you know, somebody who works, you know, for Verizon.
Yeah.
You know, where other people might be like, "Oh my God, you work for Verizon?" Oh,
Yeah. You
where
get a
you
steady
just
paycheck.
like you just going to your work like, "Oh, this shit again." Like, you do it every day, day in and day out, and I learned that part of the industry, the executives and the corporate side, They're like, dude,
Yeah.
we see a dozen used all the time, and there'll be a dozen more used tomorrow. Like, this is what we do. Like, it's not that magical to us. And that's when I had to, okay, I got to rope it in.
Yep.
I got to rope it in because I got all the hype, but the jobs aren't following.
Yeah.
I said, I got to focus on business. I got to get that hype shit out of my mind. Because then I saw through, I pulled the curtain back and saw who Oz really was.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And it's not the big glowing face.
Little man on a box.
Yeah, it's just a little man on a box. If somebody's pulling the levers
Yep.
somewhere, all that shit is smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
And that's when I really, I knew it, but when you feel it, you witness other, like you said, I was the sideline quarterback. You witness other people going through it, and you're like, man, that shit is crazy, But you
But then
get
you pull
in
up
it.
Jordan by the Wizards.
right, right. And then you get out there and you're like, you feel it, and it's like it's different from like what you said. It's different from feeling it and going through it than sitting back and watching someone else go through it. You know what I mean? And you do get kind of lost. You're like, I don't know which way is up.
Yeah.
And then you start to get your feet. If you're smart, you start to get grounded, and then you start to focus. And you're like, okay, that's all bullshit.
Yeah.
Fame is like, think of it like this. Fame is marketing. It's all fame is. They create this celebrity thing because that's what sells. If you want to sell champagne or liquor, you've got to market the hell out of it.
Yeah.
And then part of that market, you make it up, like prime example, brands. What's really so special about Gucci? It's just status.
Yeah.
It's the brand. They made this brand famous.
Yeah.
So people feel like they got to spend $1,200 for a belt.
Yeah.
And that belt, you can find the same material in Walmart,
Yeah.
For $8. You know what I mean? But that costs way more because it's Gucci.
Perceived value.
Exactly. And so that's all fame is. I realized what's going on is like, this is just perceived value.
Yep.
Creating a perceived value. We're going to tell you this person is famous. Another really great example of that was, and it really kind of, and no shade, but I remember back then watching the whole process, and it really blew my mind because, again, I could see behind the curtain of who Oz really was at that point. Britney Spears.
Yeah.
Britney Spears, do you remember like how big of a star Britney was in her prime?
Yeah. I was in the Marine Corps.
Like, her career was monstrous.
Yeah.
She was a bona fide fucking out of this atmosphere superstar.
Yeah.
There was nowhere you could go without seeing something on Britney Spears or hearing that damn "Oops, I Did It Again," or she was like, getting toward like Michael Jackson level.
Yeah. Then she found Kevin.
But all behind it. Now I'll give Britney credit. With her choreographers teaching her, she was able to dance. But legitimately, when you really think back on it and you look back at it now, it's not like she was the prettiest pop star out there. She was pretty, but like how the world viewed her was like, there is no other,
Yeah.
But it was like, no, Christina Aguilera was way finer,
Yeah.
and others, and she couldn't sing a lick. Like not at all. She made that one big mistake, which I think was Good Morning America or something she went on and sang with an acoustic guitar, and I know her team was like, dear God, please, Britney, just play the track. And she was like, nope. Because even she believed in the hype.
Yeah.
She forgot, I can't really sing.
Yeah.
She was like, I got to go do it. And I remember hearing some things about the behind the scenes with her team arguing with her, trying to not get, let her do it. But she was like adamant.
Yeah.
I'm going to sing a cappella
Mm-hmm.
with just an acoustic guitar
Yep.
and no special effects, no nothing. And I mean, when she started singing, it was like the whole audience was just aghast.
It's
Like,
T-Pain without autotunes.
what the hell is happening? No, T-Pain can actually sing, though.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He's actually a really good singer. It blew my mind, too, when I heard him sing without it. If you watch his Tiny Desk concert, he doesn't use the auto-tune in most of that.
Okay.
And so he's actually a singer.
Oh.
But Britney was like legitimately a contrived thing they just made up.
Yeah.
They took this little cute girl, put her in the gym, got her little body popping, taught her some dance lessons, and put her in the studio with a shit ton of technology and created this Britney Spears fame, phenomena. And then you look and see somebody who is not that talented.
Yeah.
can't sing. How are you one of the most famous singers in the world at that time, but you can't sing?
Yeah.
You know what I
Marketing,
mean?
man.
Marketing. And that's the thing. It's all a ploy. It's all these award shows and all these different things. If people really got to see behind the scenes of these shows, it's not glamorous. Like, you see what they show you on camera, and it looks like a beautiful, venue. And you go back behind stage, and everything's dusty and old, and
Let them see the other side of this camera.
this is
Bathroom doors open.
yeah, but this is perfect example. This is Hollywood.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's all of this stuff just goes to drive a narrative to make you feel like that person is just, larger than life, special.
Yeah.
And then they have a movie come out. What's easy to advertise when you've created this star, which is, it's all part of the marketing. And most of us don't even feel like, now there are some that I ain't gonna say no names, but there are some that get completely lost in the sauce.
Yeah.
But a lot of us really understand that it is all smoke and mirrors, and that's why I think people don't really get, like, fans, when fans come up, how special it is for you to meet us. It's not that same feeling for us meeting you, and that's not a negative thing. Like, for us, we're just meeting someone.
Yeah.
It's not a special moment. It's not magical. It's not any of that shit. It's just, I'm meeting someone. Where for those people, it's, from the other end of it, it's, I've seen it all from, like, love your work, man, to, we gotta can't believe I met you. I've seen it all, man. And it's just like, man, people really buy into it.
Yeah.
They really buy into the hype.
Yeah.
And it's all just fabricated.
So speaking of buying into the hype, I think I got a text message. The gentleman's at the door.
Is he?
I think so.
Or is that the police?
It could be. You never know in my studio.
I know it. No, I was kidding.
So, why don't we go ahead and take a look and see if we can get them on?
All right, let's do it. We're about to have Justin Linville come sit down with us, and we're gonna hop right into it. Great.
People deceiving you, leading you on with this nonsense. Hate me to dime off your dreaming, you already dead and it's only your conscience. So when you gonna make
Today we have a very special guest with us, Justin Linville. Did I pronounce it right?
You got it.
Okay.
Nailed
okay. I hate when people mispronounce my name, so that's why I ask.
Mm-hmm.
How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing good. I'm doing well. Yeah. No, it's a nice, what is it, Friday?
Yeah, it's kind of rainy outside, though. I don't know how nice it is.
Yeah, kind of rainy. But I woke up early enough to see a rainbow. There's a little rainbow this morning, and so I count that as a nice day.
Are you an early riser?
I'm an early riser.
Oh, how early are you usually up?
Early, right around sunrise.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
So you're a morning person.
I'm a morning person.
See, I'm a night owl.
Yeah.
So, but I'm forced to
you.
have to get up early every day, either to train or work or something.
Copy that.
But I'm not a morning person.
Mm-hmm.
So hats off to people like you who could just. My producing partner is one of those people. Like, his alarm goes off and he can literally just pop right out of bed and he's running.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, how, bro? I need my coffee. I gotta scroll through social media or something to get my brain together.
Yeah, I got you, dude.
But anywho, you are currently on a hit television show on Fox called Welcome to Flatch, correct?
Yes, I am.
Tell us a little bit about your character and who you play and how you ended up on this show.
Sure. My character's name is Mickey St. John, and he is a real gentleman. Kind of a dorky sort of guy, but with a lot of heart. The way I got this role was I auditioned through my agency in New York, and I went into audition. I heard about this new exciting pilot. I auditioned for it, and then I had one audition. And I got the part, and then they flew me out to Wilmington a couple days later.
Nice.
Which was quite a whirlwind journey.
Have you been enjoying the show? Because it's a comedy.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not like you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of, like, British comedy, but American style, if that makes any sense.
Well, I don't know if you know this, but it is a remake of a British television show
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
called This Country. The original's called This Country, and we're a remake called Welcome to Flatch.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. So, all right. So there is a correlation.
Yes. You're right on
Okay.
the money. Yeah.
Okay, because I love the dry British humor. To me, that's some of the funniest style of humor because it's not, like, forced on you. I did a show years back that was also a spinoff from a British show called Little Britain, but it was we did Little Britain USA.
Okay, and how was that?
Well, it was the same 2 stars of Little Britain.
Okay.
It was just them coming to the United States, so it was full of the craziness and
Yeah.
but also British humor, and they were 2 very sick guys, but I mean like hilariously sick.
Yeah.
Before the Chappelle show, it was that kind of, antics where it's just ridiculousness but hilarious. So this is you guys' second season,
Yes.
correct? And it's airing right now.
It's airing right now. Our episode 5 just aired.
Okay. How's the response been?
It's been good. Our response was a little slow in our first season, but as season 2 came out, it's been picking up, and the numbers have been going up, and more fan engagement, which is nice.
Okay, so take us back to, because I know you got to go soon, so I want to get some of the pertinent stuff from you.
You got it.
Before you get out of here. Take us back to your beginning.
Sure.
I'm assuming Fletch was not I know Fletch was not your first project. But tell us about when you got started, how and why.
I've always known I wanted to be in comedy. That's always been a thing for me. And so when I was in high school, I started taking improv classes in Austin, Texas. And so I took those improv classes, and then when I moved to New York, I got my first job as an assistant on a television show called The Chris Gethard Show. And through that, I got my manager, and my manager started submitting me for roles. I got a role on a TV show called Crashing, which was about a comedian. I played the assistant to John Mulaney, which was
Nice.
It was a whirlwind. Great experience. So blessed, but whirlwind. Because that was my first acting job, and I was in the big leagues.
Now, were you intending to be an actor, or you were wanting to be like a stand-up comedian or something?
I wanted to work in television.
Okay.
So that was kind of my goal. I didn't really see myself in front of the camera. And I was going to school for television and radio at the time. So yeah. I wanted to work in television comedy, probably behind the scenes.
Oh, really? So you
Yes.
wanted to write?
I wanted to write.
Okay. Do you write now?
I do right now.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah. But not like professionally. I'm more so building up the stuff I'm writing.
Okay. All right. So have you ever done stand-up comedy?
I have done stand-up comedy.
How's that for you?
It's good.
Like, be honest, did you bomb or?
Oh, I have bombed. Yeah, I have bombed. You got to bomb.
Yeah, that's what I have a lot of comedian friends who are like, no, dude, you got it. Even today, I still, when I'm working material, sometimes I bomb. I'm like, really? It's
Yeah.
like, hey, you got to bomb.
Well, you're trying it out, and if you bomb, I mean, you got to bomb.
Do you enjoy it?
I
Or
do.
was it something you just like a phase?
It was more of a phase, though I do enjoy writing jokes. I often am like, I don't know if I want to be the one to say these jokes. It's not like they're offensive. It's just like I like wordplay and silly jokes, and like it doesn't always play with every audience. But yeah, improv is more of my thing. Like I don't know how much you know about like long form improv.
Oh yeah, improv is my strong suit.
Improv, awesome. Improv is like my background and what I like to do. And that's kind of what translated well when I started working on Welcome to Flatch. Was that?
Yeah, it seems like the kind of show. Do you guys get to improv a lot, or is it kind of stick to the script type?
We do get to improv a lot. So they stick to the script, but we sometimes do fun runs. So after we got everything that's written, we'll do a fun run of kind of going off script. Oftentimes they'll say like, oftentimes we'll just throw in a line that we think is funny. In last week's show, I added the line "Scoochie." Because
No, what is a scoochie?
a scoochie is, hey, you're a little too close to me, scoochie. But yeah, little things.
Trademark it.
I got a trademark scoochie. That was my girlfriend's. Her line, scoochie.
Oh, okay.
yeah,
You stole it.
I stole it. I told her I was doing it.
Okay.
But yeah.
So what was your? Because I'm really interested in the mechanics of what creates a person, and then like us in this industry, and then makes you go for what we go for. What was your upbringing like?
Military family. My dad's in the Air Force, and my mom was raising us, and she had some odd jobs. But yeah, my parents both were always very supportive of me wanting to be in the arts.
That's surprising.
Yeah, not every
My
parent
father
is.
was military, and in the beginning, he was like, "You need to do something realistic."
Well, were you oldest?
No, I'm the middle child.
You're the middle. I'm the middle child. Okay. Well, my dad, he paid for my improv classes when I was in high school, which was awesome, and he very much was a champion, and he's still like a supporter of me whenever I do things. He's gonna watch this show as soon as it airs. He's a very supportive dude.
Of course, he's,
Yeah.
he's seen a return on his investment. He's like, okay, he didn't waste it.
He
All
didn't
right.
didn't waste it. Didn't waste it.
So was he strict, or was it a strict household? Is it very religious, non-religious?
Not really religious. My grandfather is a Baptist, and so like my mom's family is pretty religious. But my upbringing was not religious. And there was some strictness in that, like we were a military household, so my dad had a lot of rules about how to conduct ourselves, and there's always the stuff like my brain is failing right now, but
Happens to me every day.
every single day. No, it's just like it's normal kid stuff, but like making the bed military style because that's how my dad learned how to do it. But like that is, yeah. So there was some strictness, but it was ultimately a loving and supportive household.
All right. So you're growing up. You're starting out. You were taking improv classes. What was your first acting project? Not professionally, just like whether a play, sketch comedy, what?
That's a great question. It was definitely improv. I'm trying to think about like an acting project, but I had a play in high school that like I went to like a magnet school, so like we didn't have the best theater program.
I went to public school, so I get it.
Yes, but I was doing a play, and like halfway through the play was sort of like we're done doing this play. And I don't know.
Jesus.
I don't know what happened, but the play was over.
Like while you're performing, or like in like practicing rehearsal?
While we were rehearsing.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
not it wasn't
I
like
thought you were on the stage and they just
hey guys, no more. We're off.
this shit is so bad that we're just gonna let everyone go home.
Yeah, but yeah, it was really improv because I got to do long form improv when I was in high school, and that was kind of my first performing in front of live audiences.
Now, did you have in your mind at that time? Did you have like a track in mind? Like I'm gonna do this, get out of high school, and then either go to college or go jump into pursuing film gigs. Did you really think that was a reality for you? Like what you do today?
What I did today, I would think of as a distant reality, because I always thought if I was going to be on a TV show, it would be something like what I'm on now, which is like a kind of the humor is like awkward documentary style comedy.
Yeah.
I always thought if I was going to be on something, it would be like that. But I didn't think that would happen so soon. I left high school thinking like I'm going to get some jobs in television. I'll work in like production offices, and like that will be kind of what I do. And then the acting stuff kind of caught me by surprise.
Oh, so you ultimately you had a plan, but it was more so just the behind the scenes stuff. So did you want to be an actor, or you just it just developed as you went along?
It was developing as I went along, and I do want to be an actor now, but for a while I was kind of like, what is happening?
So when was the moment where you were like, holy shit, like I'm getting paid to do this and I'm like really here doing something special?
I got cast in a very small role. So I'll go back. I auditioned for a movie that was written and directed by Billy Crystal, also starring
nice.
Billy Crystal. And Billy was in the auditions, and we were really having a good time in those auditions. I was kind of like, I'm getting to audition with Billy Crystal. This is awesome.
Were you getting improv back and forth?
We're getting improv back and forth.
Oh my God,
And
what a dream.
It was a dream. I was like, if this is all I get, this is the best experience. And it was before Flatch. But yeah, Billy, there wasn't quite a role for me in that movie. And so what they did was they wrote me in a very small part in the movie, which that moment of being written into this Billy Crystal movie was like the moment. I was like,
Yeah, because that's huge.
It was huge.
It means conversations happened, and Billy Crystal was like, we may not have a role for that guy, but I want him in this movie somewhere.
Exactly.
Squeeze it in.
Exactly. And that was the best.
No, what movie was that?
It's a movie called Here Today.
Is it out?
It's out. Yeah.
Okay, Here Today.
Yeah, it
I gotta
stars
check that out.
Billy Crystal and Tiffany Haddish.
What, I feel like I did hear something about a Tiffany Haddish and Billy Crystal movie. Did you watch it?
I did watch it.
What did you enjoy it?
I did enjoy it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where's it at? Is it on Netflix?
I saw it on an airplane actually.
Oh, okay. All right, so we're gonna have to Google that. Make sure y'all look that up, because I remember hearing about that, and I was like, Billy Crystal and Tiffany Haddish. Like, who thought to put them two together?
Yeah.
Like, I wanted to see it just because of I got to see Billy Crystal and Tiffany Haddish
Yeah.
doing scenes together.
It's worth watching just for that, I think. Yeah.
Did you get to work with any one of them on your scene?
No, I was kind of in the background, but Billy was directing the whole thing, so I got to kind
Oh,
of.
he directed.
He directed.
Oh,
Yes.
so you also got directed by Billy
I
Crystal.
got directed by Billy Crystal.
Oh, you're living the dream.
I'm living the dream. I was living the dream. I am living the dream. That's the dream. Yeah.
So after high school, well, how was high school first of all?
High school was good. High school, I went to a magnet school that was
It's
on.
rare I hear actors say they enjoyed high school.
Well, I had a very particular experience. I went to an early college high school, so my college was built my high school was built on a college campus.
Okay.
So we got 2 years of high school in college, which was like the boost I needed to be like, I'm actually going to move to New York because I already had the 2 years of college. So just on that, I was like, this is great. And I also got to take the improv classes in college because I lived in San Antonio, and so I would drive up to Austin to take improv classes.
Yeah, my father lives in San Antonio. Shout out to San Antonio.
Shout out to San Antonio, go Spurs. Go Spurs. But yeah, and so for me, high school was this thing where I got to get a lot of, and I also had a good friend group, nice grounded like community in high school. High school was good.
Were you a player?
I was not a player.
You weren't a player?
I was not a player.
You said that very
I was not-
definitively.
I was not a player. I was not a player.
So you graduate, you have a good high school experience.
Yeah.
I'm shocked. Like, normally, especially thespians are like, no. Well, when I was in high school, maybe it's a little different these days. But when I was in high school, I took theater arts class, and really I was there for the girls. I was like the jock kind of. I call myself a hybrid. I came into my looks and my, feeling like, being the man, playing sports. Was really good at it. And had that side of me as being what everyone wanted me to be or what I thought I should be, the jockey, big, tall, guy that was in high school, etc. But inside I was the thespian, creative artist. I wanted to do those things. So I took theater arts class. And of course I told my friends, like, man, it's all the girls are in there. And it was girls, a lot of girls in there. But I was like, man, I'm taking, be where the girls and stuff at. And back then it was like, you're taking theater arts? It was like a connotation, like a negative connotation that came with it if you weren't in that group, that crowd. And but those were my people. And I learned through theater arts who we thought were, or who the popular kids or the sheep kids, I like to call them, thought of as the weird kids or the odd kids. As I went through theater arts and even after I got a little older, realized we were the kids who got it. We were the kids who understood being different was a good thing.
Yeah.
That's how innovation happens. That's how, you move culture forward, or the people who think differently. But you're made to feel a certain way, when you're in that process. But I'm glad you didn't have that. Because it's rare that I get to hear someone say, no, it was actually pretty good.
Well, no, it seems like you had a learning experience in high school that was helpful. And this is also, I don't know if you've seen High School Musical, but that's the big sort of conflict in that is it going to be sports or is it going to be drama?
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Is that what that's about?
That's what that's about.
I've never, no shade to High School Musical, but no, I've never seen it.
Maybe it's too close to home.
No, maybe. But I was fortunate because I had a teacher. I always give her kudos, Vivian Wade, who worked in the industry and then left the industry and went and worked at college. level, and then came down to high school level for a little bit. She wanted to really get to, raw actors or raw talent, and help shape it at the early stages. After us, she got the hell out of the high school level. But she was the one who turned me on to improv.
Oh, nice.
So theater arts in public school is where I first learned about and then began to develop my improv skills. Then going to improv competitions and things like that. And she would tell me things that I didn't realize were going to be useful to me until later. And she used to tell me, she was like, if you don't learn anything else, if you learn how to improv, you'll always work. And so I was like, all right. She was like, you got a natural, talent for that. So I was like, okay. And I listened, I gave her hell in the first part, but then, we came to terms because I was like the class clown.
Yeah.
Still trying to be the cool guy, and she would give me hell. And she was like, we made a deal. She was like, I will get off your back if you would at least do your work and listen and really take in what I'm trying to teach you.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the class, I'll give you, the last 15, 20 minutes to clown around.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, deal.
That's a good deal.
It's a great deal.
That's a great deal.
Because what it did was, and she was so smart with it, because what it did was force me to really, take in and digest what she was teaching.
Yeah.
And that ended up being the core of who I was as an actor
Yeah.
that would carry me on, into the further realms of actually entering into the business. But enough about me. So you graduate high school
Yes.
and you decide for some reason to go to New York. Why?
Yeah.
What was in that decision?
So I went to New York. I went to a college called Brooklyn College, which I'm still enrolled in because I took a break because acting stuff kind of got involved. But yeah, I went to school for television. Brooklyn College is a really good television program.
Really?
Yes, very, very good television program. And then I went there, and also I wanted to go to New York because I knew there was a lot of improv, and I knew that there were good internship opportunities. And so I went really thinking about TV, comedy, and internships. I interned at a place called Story Pirates, which was a nonprofit that they read. Part of their mission is they kids write stories, and then adults perform the stories that the kids write for audiences of children. Yeah.
Okay.
And so I, as an intern, was in charge of loving stories, which meant that you read the stories that the kids write and then write in positive, encouraging messages on them, which I loved.
Nice. Are you still involved with that group?
Not right now, but I'm trying to get back involved.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So how long do you have left that you say you're still enrolled in Brooklyn College?
I just did this. I have about 24 credits left.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I should be done by summer 2023.
You're young. Like we're talking you went to college. I'm thinking it's a couple of years ago. You're still in this process.
I'm still in this process. Well, I'm 25 now. I'll be
Okay.
26 Tuesday.
Well, happy early birthday.
Hey, thank you. This is a great early birthday gift.
Oh, hey, bring the cake out, Jamie.
Jamie, where's the
You
cake?
didn't know? No, I'm just kidding.
Jamie, where's the cake? Jamie, it's supposed to be a cookie cake. Okay.
It got held up.
I'm still waiting on that cookie cake.
We got to get you a cookie cake. You're going to randomly someone's going to bring you a cookie cake and
Yeah.
you're going to know where it's from.
You got to speak it into existence.
So you
Yeah.
are you still enrolled in Brooklyn College. You're now in Wilmington, North Carolina. You just wrapped season 2 of Flatch. What are you thinking about doing? What do you think of your career at this point? And are you feeling the effects? Because it's season 2. Are you feeling the effects yet from being on the show as far as business wise or public wise, et cetera?
Yeah, it feels different than season 1. Season 1, I felt like we were really able to make that in what felt like a vacuum, especially because of the COVID protocols at the time. We were very much under lockdown. Whereas now I'm going to restaurants and seeing people and getting recognized at restaurants, albeit in Wilmington, but yeah, it feels like changes have been happening.
Is that weird to you? Is this your first project that people are recognizing you from for real?
Yes.
So how is that? I remember my first, experiences with that, but what are your experiences with that? Are you an introvert or extrovert, first of all?
I think I'm an introvert. But
So how does an introvert deal with that?
I just try to stay positive. You know, it's like I'm still really flattered that like this character that I put a lot of myself in and a lot of love into, it reaches people. And so I gotta when I receive that kindness, I gotta give that kindness back. That's how I gotta think about it.
Do you care about it?
About the show?
No, of course. I know you care about the show. I hope you care about the show. No, about just that part of the business of the public attention, strangers coming up to you. It's like myself. I'm 6'5", right? So I have friends that are famous, or we're on the same level, or even more famous than me, and these are small guys. And it's always funny to me how the difference of how people interact with us. Like I have a friend of mine who's very famous, and he's like I think maybe 5'8", 5'7", and people would just run up in his space, because he's not a big guy, so they'll run up in his space. Whereas with me, they'll approach me almost like a lion. They just kind of creep to me, and it gets a little weird sometimes. A lot of times if people are just walking by, they're like, "Hey man, love your work." But you have the other half where I've learned it now, so I can kind of see the movements of like, okay, they want to talk or say something.
Yeah.
Because they'll kind of just creep toward me, like, is it okay? Excuse me. And so, and I have other friends I've seen, who are smaller, where people just run up in their space or like tower over them, like, "Hey man, I love your show, man." And they're like, "Hey brother, all right, thank you, man." But so it's like different responses, to different types of people. Does it like worry you, or do you ever feel like, oh shit, what have I done?
That's a great question. I personally am not too worried about it. Like I think it's also depends on the type of character you play. Like with my characters, it all seems to be like kind of really they're all like kind of dudes that you would approach kind of with a little bit of like, "Hey, how's it going?" Like they're not characters that are intimidating or characters that you want to like. I mean, the worst I think people want to do is like give me a hug immediately.
Do you get a lot of that? A lot of huggers?
I get a lot of huggers who are like, "Can I hug? I want to hug." And the answer is usually, "Yeah, you can hug."
See, me in the beginning, when I first started experiencing it, it was my situation was funny though, because my first taste of fame was years ago in a film I did called Love for Sale, but it was like only like BET had bought it. Yeah. So it was only playing on BET, and they were trying to break a record. Like it literally, you'd be watching and it says "Up Next, Love for Sale," and it's like I got tired of seeing my own movie on BET. I don't know what they paid for that movie, but it must have been a lot because it was nonstop.
They're getting their money's worth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But the benefit of that was that it put me in a position where I was getting my first taste of fame, but it was a really weird and funny kind of position because only black people knew who I was. So I could be a lot of places. You'll see some people like, "Oh shit, like it's him," and whatever. And then you have all non-black people looking like, "Who the hell what does he do? Is he a football player or something?" Or I could be one place and it's like, I'm a king, and then go to another place and it's like, "Why are you here?"
Yeah. Yeah.
And so just trying to navigate and figure that out. Initially, it got a little, especially at the height of that movie, people run, because there were things my character did and people would do them in public. Like one time I was at a gas station, and there's a scene in that movie, I don't know if you ever saw it, but there's a scene in that movie where I'm banging on the door and they do like a fisheye lens, and it's it's supposed to be funny.
Yeah.
So I look crazy and I'm banging on my girlfriend's door in the movie, and I'm at a gas station one day waiting in line behind people, and these group of teenage girls run up to the door outside, it's the glass gas station door, and they just start hammering the door. So we're all in the store like, "Oh, what the hell?
Yeah,
What's happening right now?"
That's intense.
And it's not locked, so we're all confused of like, why are they banging on the door like they can't get in?
Do you guys need to get in? Like,
Right. We don't know what the hell is happening. It's just like,
Yeah.
what the hell? And it's teenage girls, so we're not like super worried. but we still are all confused. And then it's like 5 people in line in front of me, and they're just hammering the door, and they're all yelling shit. And so I finally tune in and hear what they're saying. They're saying my line from the movie, and I was like, oh shit.
Oh man.
And I was like, I never forget. I was like, sorry guys, it's me. And then I was like, damn, that doesn't make sense to them either. Like, what do you mean it's you? Like, what about you has these teenage girls banging on the door? I was like, this is getting all bad.
Yeah. Well, having to explain it afterwards, where it's like you have to explain, like it's just too much to explain to people.
Yeah, it's invasive.
It's invasive
to me, at times.
Well, the way they did it is invasive.
Yeah, well, just like because there's that part of when you're going to do the premiere for the project or you're doing interviews like this, etc.
Yeah.
You kind of you're in that mode. But when you're stopping by CVS or at a gas station,
yeah,
you kind of because I don't walk around like, oh, I'm this or I'm that. I forget. I put it out of my mind.
Yeah.
And people will remind you, and just like some people walking by, staring you down, and you're like, hey, we good? And like, what's happening? Everything okay? And you're like, oh, yeah. And they're like, oh, I just love your work, man. And you're like, oh, because your senses, get heightened. And so, just having that duality of trying to have your privacy and, and whatnot. Sometimes I think better off what I'm saying is, I know for me, I initially found it invasive. And it was like, God, this is getting annoying. And then later on, I kind of learned how to navigate it. So I didn't go out publicly as much anymore or just always on the scene. And so then it turned into, I do enjoy going out and letting people see me and then having them come up and talk about my work and stuff like that. Not for my ego, but because then you get to touch them, not physically, but you know what I mean? You get to interact with the people who love your work and talk to them and create experiences. Like, does that hit you when you're talking to these people? Like you're giving them an experience?
Yes. We're sharing something right now that they're getting something, I'm getting something out of this. It's an experience.
Yeah.
I should say I used to work as a personal assistant to a comedian for a couple of years. And he's told this before, so I'll tell this. But we were at an Oakland A's game, and he had a fan interaction that was somebody looking up his Wikipedia page behind him just to double check his identity, and then sort of slyly sort of coming up to him in kind of the most awkward way and being like, hey, I know who you are. And it was the most awkward interaction that ever happened, because if you got to do the Wikipedia page and then you got to be like, I know who you are, it's like, that's not sly.
That's always weird. I know who you are.
I know who you are.
Me too. Like,
yes.
Get your thoughts together. Like, because I can't stand people that will, like, sometimes like I'm going through a grocery store. And you have people that either they don't want to approach you for ego reasons or they're scared to approach you or whatever. But you watch them follow you like aisle to aisle. You see them at the end of the aisle. You go to the next aisle. You see them there and they're pretending to look at stuff. And you're like, dude, just speak. Like I'm not a wild animal. I'll speak to you and let's keep it moving. But this is getting weird.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But anyway, I know you got some business to take care of. So I'm looking at the time right now and I don't want you to be too late.
Okay.
So we definitely enjoyed having you. I think you're a very interesting person.
Yeah, thank you.
I think you've got a really bright future. You're invited to come back here anytime you want to.
I would love to.
We can elaborate some more. So yeah, I definitely would love to have you back at some point in time, and we'll try to work something out with your schedule and our schedules.
Sure.
And just keep diving deeper into who you are. Who you are as a person, because I feel like I think you're really talented, and so I like talk. This show, just so you know, is not even the goal in the beginning was to not have an interview heavy pod show, because we have so many different things to cover and whatnot, and I didn't want to be just another talking head and just bringing people on to bring them on. But what we found ourselves doing when we started this one was like really interesting people I know were like, hey, can I do your show? It was like, okay. And then some people we didn't think we'd even get to come on the show, or like, when they hear about what kind of show it is and what we talk about, it's like, oh, I'd like to do that show. So we just kind of ended up with doing interviews anyway, but we curate who. It's not just anybody because they're known. It's more so interesting people because interesting people have the most interesting journeys.
Yeah.
And we want people to not only get to know you, but pick up gems and jewels along the way from listening to people like yourself, you know, talk about your journey. So thank you for coming and joining us. And we look forward to having you again, man, and wishing you all the success and a huge, I hope it's explosive for season 2 of Flatch.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Most definitely.
And thanks for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Hey, you're very welcome. Like I said, you're family now, so.
Family. I appreciate that.
Most definitely. All right, Jemmy, we wrapping them out? Oh, yeah. We want people to follow you.
Oh, yeah.
So also real quick before you leave, can you let the people know where to find you on your social media?
Yeah, I'm Justin M. Linville on Twitter and Instagram, though I just got back on, so follow me and I'll be posting stuff at some point.
Are you going to post funny stuff?
Maybe.
You said maybe. All right. Well, make sure you follow him and keep up with him. He's got incredible things going on right now, and I'm sure plenty more incredible things coming up. So you want to stay tuned and keep your eye on this guy.
Yeah. Also, bumpytoad.com. That's kind of a little production company I run with my girlfriend. We
nice.
make some like little cute animated films and stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Fun stuff.
BumpyToad.com.
Bumpytoad.com.
Pick up on his animation. Is it funny stuff?
Funny stuff. Cute,
Okay.
Cute stuff. Cute stuff.
Funny and cute.
Funny and cute.
Like me.
Like me.
Well, thanks for being with us, brother.
Thanks for having me, brother.
Most definitely.
Stuff.
You still think it's cool. Opportunity knocked and you play the fool. Now you really don't know what to do. Said it chasing your dreams, you was chasing friends. Can't make a move till you make amends. Thought you was popping, well think again. The section reserving, you can't get in. Oh yeah. Said this, how I'm feeling. I'm sick of you hitters. Let's get down to business. I'm feeling myself. You hitters done did it.